Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dark and Stormy Nights. I'm here with
Odin.
And Tyr.
And I'm Loki. And I did that backwards, which confused them.
It really did.
All right, Odin, you want to give them the recap, let them know where we are?
Okay. Well, this is going to be Chapter 18 of our ongoing on-air novel. And this is Episode 28, which you probably know from your feed.
Awesome.
The last chapter that was written was mine, and that was largely everybody getting back to the Brownstone, getting in an argument from all the stuff that the various doppelgangers did to each other. I mean, did to those they cloned, that were cloned of, and eventually they settled on reacting to the influx of monsters into this world and setting aside their arguments. Nothing was really resolved. So then they made their way to Poppy Shop, trying to figure if they can find a magic of some sort to help them in this endeavor. And after all that, they finally get to the portal, or the hillside right before it.
Right. Okay, so I had several roadblocks this week. It was a very busy and difficult week for me.
Yes.
So this isn't exactly complete, but there were several problems anyways that I ran into, and that we can discuss along the way. For one of them was... we have yet to actually have the doppelgangers en masse together with our team.
Right.
And so it was difficult to kind of piece together how to describe the interaction between the doppelgangers and our team, especially in the instances where it was the evil doppelganger, or, the doppelganger versus the original,
Right.
And you know what, now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm coming to realize that I maybe did a poor job describing the confusion that would be involved here among the others.
It is definitely something that would challenge any writer, I think.
Yeah, so I think I failed this chapter from the beginning.
Well,
Okay.
Here's the thing, is that we also kind of, as you got into it and we discussed a little bit more, it's either going to be a massive chapter or it needs to be broken
It's
up.
insane. So I counted over 17 characters, 17 active characters, and NPCs being the monsters and stuff, the various things
As
around.
well as the crew of Desmonds of unnamed Bobs.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, I didn't even count
The
them.
cult, the whole cult had to be there
17
with Jennifer.
Named characters.
I mean, honestly,
I introed in my outro a lot of monsters hiding in the grasses and stuff.
I'm not sure that George R.R. Martin would appreciate this chapter so much, even.
why?
Because his just massive number of characters, I don't know that he has put so many together in a singular scene.
Oh, he did, but there was bad lighting, so you didn't actually see him.
Maybe I should have done some bad lighting.
Truthfully, like, if it needs to happen to where the chapter gets broken up, we can always do a small section from the heroes, like where they're going on the battles, and then a second half of the same battle from the villain side, where
Well,
they're observing it.
I'll be honest with you, Odin did not put this one piece in, and I was thinking about putting it maybe before his chapter, at the beginning of his chapter, or whatever. And then, I don't know, tell me what you guys think. As arguing bellowed from within the brownstone, a lone brownie tracked his stout Scottish nemesis. A creaking noise came from the back door of the brownstone, freezing Hammond in his tracks. The brownie had never seen him act this way before. The noise passed, and Hammond continued inside the shack, where the brownie was once held captive. The brownie watched as the Scotsman seemed to sabotage his own weapons and equipment. He dulled the blades, clipped the lines, sprung the springs, and stripped the bolts of every device in the shack save one, whose lock he could not spring. And in a final fit of desperation, he decided to simply haul it with him. Hammond reached up to kill the lights when he noticed a lone blunderbuss loaded, muzzle sealed. Hammond set down his haul a moment and to gingerly pull the blunderbuss down, gently removed the seal, Then he proceeded to jam a stone that was holding down some papers on the desk down the neck of the gun, and then he gently resealed the weapon and placed it back in its hidey hole, trying to get its position just right. Hammond then hastily snatched up the trunk and thought to himself, maybe that coot Desmond could spring this prize for me with his magic or something. The brownie, now more curious than he'd ever been, decided to continue to follow the odd Scotsman until the time was right. So I thought that maybe that would go before.
Okay, I have very little problems with the actual writing itself, other than the switch in perspective was a little odd to me when you went from the brownie to Hammond. But I liked it. I just don't think it has a place in the chapter I wrote, but it's definitely part of it. So I'm not sure where it goes.
Before they get to the brownstone,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. Well, and once again, I
Well,
feel
it happened in the same time,
Open the
because if
chapter.
you remember, there was a light flash that he noticed. All that was happening while they were arguing, but the real Hammond got drawn back into the conversation. Also, in here, you call him Hammond, and it's like, at this point, God, it really depends on where the story goes. Do we call him Hammond? Do we call him something else? Does he think of himself?
Or is he Dark Hammond? Is he Evil Hammond?
I
Is he
don't
Doppelganger
know.
Hammond?
I-
But the
Well, here's
brownie
the problem.
doesn't know the difference.
That's the thing. The brownie cannot know the difference. So
Okay,
he
well,
has
but
to be Hammond.
the part where it changed is where you had Hammond's internal dialogue. You know, where he was talking about, maybe Desmond can help me spring the trap. Maybe if you cut that and keep in the brownie perspective, that works.
Maybe have him grumble it out loud and the brownie hears
No,
it.
that's fine. Yeah, if he's speaking to himself, like,
Yeah, like he's crap. I'll
Okay,
have to
maybe
have
it's,
Desmond, blah, blah, blah.
Out loud, or here, how about maybe that coot Desmond could spring this prize for me with his magic.
Mm-hmm.
he grumbles out loud. Grumbled.
Yeah, and that way it can stay
Hammond
in the brownie's.
grumbles to himself.
It can stay in the brownie's perspective.
But yeah,
But where does it go?
I think at the beginning, it has to be the beginning because that will give your reader like a second to go. Wait a minute, like when he's in the house, it's going to be confusing at first, but they'll figure it out.
should we
Well,
mention
the
the
Maybe a
question
flash?
chapter
is-
break, I think. I think you do chapter break right when we had that light flash between the argument starting up and ending.
I think that's.
Might be a little confusing.
I don't. I think it'll cut up your chapter too much. I think we do it at the beginning, and
Of
that way,
what?
before your chapter starts.
Then there's a bit of time jump, which is what Loki wanted to avoid.
It is what it is. I mean, if you put
That's
it at
not
the
that bad.
end, if you put it at the end, it's going to be a big time jump.
Right.
And if you cut up the middle, it's going to ruin the flow of your chapter.
Okay.
And
I mean-
here's the thing, is that by the time they reach the argument within the brownstone, and you have that second where Hammond looks up and notices the light in his shed on, I think that is going to be enough to cue the reader like, oh, okay, something's going on with the doppelganger.
Well, I said
Maybe-
a flash
okay,
of lights.
what
I
if-
thought there
what
was
if we
something
did
else
this?
happening, like he exploded somewhere.
Maybe have the brownie observe something
Hold
different
on.
about this.
Or that
Hammond.
bell jar that electrifies, maybe. I don't know.
Hold on. So Hammond grumbles to himself. The brownie, more curious than ever, decided to continue to follow the odd Scotsman. I was going to think. So we said maybe the coot Desmond can spring this prize for me. Hammond grumbles to himself as he goes to switch off. How do we phrase this?
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm saying he goes to switch off the light and it pops, and that's that flash. Maybe we,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Which is
I
also.
just figured he knocks him
Well,
over.
no,
or something.
because I was thinking that it's a sign that the brownie's there, because the brownies manipulate entropy and stuff.
Oh. Okay.
Like that. So as Hammond is about to flick off the light, it bursts.
Now, does Hammond have electric lighting in his shed?
Yeah, he winds it up.
Wow, he's ahead of his day.
Didn't you?
I mean, he is Hammond, but, I just wondering.
in
Okay.
my chapter,
I
I
don't-
mentioned him cranking a crank.
Okay, so
which
he's got
was
some
the-
sort of like battery generator thing going
So
on. Okay.
yeah, he cranks the crank and it lights it up. So
I did not catch that.
as he reaches once again to turn off the light, it bursts in a flash.
that works.
Okay, so
And
what's
that
your
way,
next bit?
By the time they get into the chapter and see the flash of light, that'll make sense to them.
Hammond makes haste in his escape.
That works. All right, so we're going to have to piece that back in before chapter 17. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, mine was 17.
So I'll make a note. Add in before chapter 17.
Which is kind of interesting because we were hoping to aim for like 33 chapters, and 17 is the odd number that's where, you know, it's that tipping point in an arc, and it actually kind of is.
Okay, so the next thing I did was bring it to the Miller farm. So like I said, I didn't feel that it needed to be said, I felt, but it didn't necessarily fit in my chapter.
What?
Because it was so far back in time that
The brownie part.
the brownie part. Because it needed to be said that the sabotaging of the gun, the sabotaging of all the equipment, but specifically the gun, and the stealing of the chest were big factors to be added in.
Yeah, I just left it open-ended so that in future chapters, like, you know, in this confrontation, that you could just have things misfire on them, but that's fine.
So then we get to the gaping tear over the Miller farm, which could be seen from quite some distance. The large gash resembled a massive black and silver crack in the porcelain of space and time, which hovered over the rubble that remained from the fallen farm.
What time of day did I place it? Do you recall? Or did you set one?
I didn't know.
I felt like it was dusk.
We should definitely add that in.
It feels cinematic if it was dusk, especially with that contrast of color.
I think I messed this up a little bit because I said it escaped nobody, that this is where it all began. This was the place where they found Dale, and from there the reason why every strange thing seemed to happen. This is when London, an already strange place, began getting stranger.
Okay.
So, but I'm not sure we did that due diligence.
What?
I said that was that tied everything to the first event, tied everything back to when they found Dale being.
Well, I had them
What do you
comment
mean?
on, we're back here again?
Did things get that much stranger for them
After
Dale?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
I
the
think
so?
it definitely
it,
did.
it's the
So we did enough due diligence to justify that
I
verse.
mean, pretty much immediately after we brought in the Joragumo. I mean,
I think I kind of laid out the Twinkie example from Ghostbusters. You know, normal level of paranormal activity, a horror level. You know?
I think
Yeah.
it's been escalating steadily since.
Okay, so you think we've
40-foot
done it.
Twinkie.
Okay, that's fine. And then we get to where you kind of left off. No, it can't be. What are you doing here? Mary's voice seemed almost angry at first. It carried even over the roar of the tear in the fabric between this dimension and the next. How is this possible? Where were you? How did you get here? Mary's mind began to break down. Reality was crumbling around her both mentally and literally. Creatures sprung from the tear, speeding by her, buying little attention from her focus. She had no idea what to think or do. Could this be unreality tied to the current events? No, she thought. No, this must be real. Mary paused and stammered in her step, then stood adrift in her thoughts and emotions. She looked slightly away as nightmarish things crossed her path, not in fear, but in utter confusion and shock. Whatever she was witnessing had proved too much for her mind to handle. And then, a moment of composure. Mary looked up as she straightened her dress with both hands. Her face settled on a look of determination, and she looked up. She took in the sight of her love atop the pile of rubble that sat where the old Miller barn once stood. She took in almost every detail of the man she so loved. His beautiful dark hair, his soft peach lips and broad shoulders. The scar over his right eyebrow was gone. Maybe returning from the dead does that? Maybe it was the price of his return. As long as she has her love back, it doesn't matter. No price would be too high. I have returned for you, Mary. Come to me, love. Robert beckoned her with outstretched hands. Mary almost couldn't help herself. As her feet carried her forward without thought, her heart lifted her, making her journey light and easy. As she drifted to her love, she no longer heard the cries of her friends telling her to stop. She couldn't hear Karen warn her that this was not her love, that Robert was right here with her. Mary gracefully climbed the pile of debris towards the one she believed to be her love. That's that section. So
It's good.
Okay. I like
And
that.
I like the note with the scar because that totally makes sense. Now, here's a question I wonder. Just jumping ahead in story, having nothing to do with what you're currently writing, exactly. But when the ghost finally does possess him and he's back in the world and everything, does his residual self-image, does the scar reemerge?
I don't know.
I wouldn't think so.
The only reason I would think so, and I did kind of think about this a little bit, is that maybe the scar was formed with some kind of mystical implement. If that was the case, then maybe.
Okay, like
That
a scar,
feels very Harry
a
Potter.
scar on his soul.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, here's something
Yeah,
else
yeah,
I wanted.
I know.
I wanted to address with you guys. I wouldn't necessarily think the scar would come back, but
It doesn't
he
have
is
to.
now in the body of a doppelganger raised by magic. Is there some price to pay for having that body? Does he need to feed on blood or souls
Does
now?
he age exponentially like Fly 2?
I would think he doesn't age, or he ages very slowly.
I don't know. I do not have answers for this.
I feel like there has to be something.
Well, I think
more.
the only thing that really would exist is that he is he's born of an
demon.
evil spirit, not necessarily a demon, but an evil spirit. And as such, I think that he's
Dark magic, at least.
negative. Yeah, I think
Maybe
he's
he's a
always
little
going to
bit
have a
more
little bit of
violent.
taint. Yeah,
Well,
and I think that will affect
maybe-
him on a mental, spiritual level. But I do
maybe
think,
he needs mystical therapy from Wilhelm.
well, I think that he also would be subject to certain spell effects. Like he might not be welcomed in the house.
Yeah, maybe he can't
the house
get
that
through the barrier.
he warded
they'll
himself.
They'll have to adjust the spells on.
Well,
it.
that's the thing. The house he either warded it or purchased it because it was warded in such fashion.
Mhm.
So that's kind of interesting. You're like, will it bow to its creator or not?
No,
in
I
this
bet
scenario?
you, much like the Jorogumo, they're going to have to do the blood spell to let him in.
Right, yeah.
And then
Give him
on top
permission.
of that, I feel like he's going to have to be feeding with Karen or something. Like there has to be some sort of like he's in the body of
Well, see,
a being created by dark magic. Is he
the
capable of magic?
the mythology of doppelgangers is murdering their originals and replacing them.
Right.
But it really doesn't talk about what they do after that.
now? Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like the synths in,
So we'll have to
in
create.
Fallout.
We'll have
Yeah.
to create some rules for him. I think.
I don't know.
So you know what he might be now, though? He might be summonable.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's
like
very
a
true.
protection versus evil kind of thing. Any of those, he's screwed.
Right. But I'm not
Can
sure
he not
it'll
walk
come
into
back-
churches?
I'm not sure it'll come back to bite him in this particular story, but maybe in a future
Maybe
story.
not, but I'm just saying
like they
that
go-
there might be some ill effects. Like this,
Right.
this isn't something that can happen without a price.
Let's say in book 2, they meet with Talbot to negotiate something, and they're like, "Are you coming?" "No, I'm good." I
Well,
can see
here's
that.
the thing: is that like you often see like demon traps, things like that. So
Mhm.
anything like that they walked into, the humans wouldn't get stuck.
9
Maybe
demon
Wilhelm.
bag.
Maybe Wilhelm. I don't know.
What
that
more can a man
he's-
ask for?
He would fall into that, but Robert would definitely be able to be. He'd be trappable
Sure.
just
It-
by magic and stuff.
If you didn't get that reference, your childhood was not just sucked.
I didn't hear the reference.
9 demon bag.
I don't think I get it.
It's from
Big Trouble in Little
Big
China.
Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
One of
I
the
don't
best movies ever
You
made.
must rent it. It's the best B movie ever made.
Okay, then.
We keep remaking crap movies, but really we should be making things like Big
Intentionally
Trouble in Little
crap.
China.
Like Godzilla
Yeah,
was
yeah,
always
exactly.
supposed to be crap, and then we go, "What if they were realistic?" No, it's Godzilla.
Yeah. All right. So let's do one more section before the break.
Okay.
No, honey, Karen calls out. Robert is here with me. Zara pivots on her heels at Karen. What? She says, punctuating her glare. Yes, love, he's here. He's right here with me. He wanted to help, so he came along. Are you serious? Of course. Why would I lie? Damn it, I need to get to her. She isn't even hearing us. Zara turns to Poppy. Throw the potion, she yells to her. I'd love to, dear, but Mary took it. Zara yells, shit, looking back at her friend, completely entranced. Zara dashes up the rubble pile, putting herself between Mary and Robert's doppelganger. She tries to stop Mary without injuring her, but Mary's deft grace is enough to circumvent her over and over again. There's a little more to this. I mean, because this is where it gets really complicated, because now it's going back and forth between many different members of the crew doing different things.
All
So
right. Do you want to come back to this after a commercial break?
well, so Wilhelm's a little confused at first and begins to pull it all together. You can kind of see the look of, that aha moment.
The light bulb go on.
Right. And he pulls out a book from his backpack and begins to rifle through it, through its pages. Hammond spots his evil doppelganger dragging a trunk from around the rubble pile. Too angry to be confused, he charges the evil copy of himself, shouting, "You've got my Bertha." The evil twin drops the chest, only making Hammond more angry. The dark copy braces to receive the charge. Hammond leaps into the air, thrusting his body like a wrecking ball at his evil twin. Now, I felt that was realistic for only Hammond. Only Hammond, I think, would ignore the fact that there is a
And he's
copy of
staring at
him right
himself,
there. And
you got my weapon.
right, yeah, you stole my Bertha. I'm going to kill you.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I originally intended that he'd use the weapons and not know they were broke, and that would lead to a conflict that eventually went hand to hand, but this is fine.
so, yeah, well, he only really, he doesn't have a lot on him, I don't think. So, and this is where we start introducing a lot
And
of
he'd be angry enough that even if he has weapons and doesn't know they're broke, he might not even think to pull them out, because that would just...
I think his first reaction would be running after, because Betsy and Bertha are obviously favorites of his.
Right.
Yeah, I just figured he'd be yelling Bertha the whole way as his war charge.
Bertha! Like Martha.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. God. Oh, my God.
That should be their battle cry
You
When-
now.
guys understand that you don't even have to finish your sentences before the other one grasps onto what you two are talking about.
Oh, everybody knows the Martha reference.
Nobody knows what you two are talking about.
Oh,
ever
they know
because
Martha.
Okay,
You don't
look,
finish a
it was the most
sentence.
common name in the time period they wrote these crappy comics. And it was lazy writing then,
Oh,
and the
okay.
convergence of two lazy writing culminated in the laziest writing possible in
All
Justice
right, all
League.
right.
Oh my God, what a crap movie! Oh
No, I
Jesus
had no
Christ.
idea what you guys were talking about, but you just pick up. You guys share a brain. You like pick up on each other's thoughts, and you like just jump in halfway through, and nobody else knows what you're talking about.
See, that's now Hammond, the evil Hammond, has to go. Why'd you say that name?
That's awesome.
All right, we'll pause here, and we're going to actually come back after break and talk about a book review.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the part where I tell you that our friend Tyr, our co-host, has written a book, and it's being released. You can find her on Twitter at...
It's at Nova Drake Writer.
So go check that out. So you want to tell us about what you made us?
Yeah, I wrote a dystopian fantasy story with a little bit of a romantic subplot about a girl who's been wronged and is trying to find justice in a world where there really isn't any.
So like now, but worse.
Right, exactly. Kind of 100 years in the future, this is what happens if we don't merge back onto the correct path.
I've read
I
a bit of it.
suppose.
I'm not sure it's even that far.
No.
But why don't you give us the blurb?
Okay. 5 years ago, Justice lost everything she lived for. Alone in a world ravaged by corruption, greed, and crime, there's no justice to be found in the system, so she'll just have to make her own. A trained fighter and rogue, Justice has no problem cracking a few skulls to get the answers she needs. But things get dicey when she finds herself in the sights of a skilled assassin with a reputation that far exceeds her own. Not that she'll ever admit that. Ezra has finally escaped the men that owned him for as long as he can remember, but all he's managed to do is trade life in a cage for one hiding in the shadows. Reduced to nothing more than a distant nightmare, he's no longer sure he hasn't become the very monster they made him into, until one cocky, frustrating woman sees past the shadows and refuses to be afraid.
I dig it.
Yeah, sounds good.
So you want to tell our friends at home how to find your book, where they can pre-order it?
Yeah, it's available for pre-order right now on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and look up The Cost of Justice by Nova Drake, and it will release and be delivered to you by August 31st.
Go get your copy today.
Thanks.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but you could submit a book for review to the Dark and Stormy Nights through...
Through VegVisierMedia.com.
So, in this week, Tyr did a book review. It's Mark My Soul by Grayson Bell.
Correct.
You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. This is a gay erotic romance story. And so it's kind of an interesting take on like the soulmates concept a little bit. It's a fantasy world, so it's not like our society, but it's similar. It's not like a hugely far-fetched world. It's more like the society and the world kind of revolves around the soulmate bond.
So is this? Would you say it's like fantasy?
Yeah, it's fantasy. It's not. Yeah, it's
Is
not
this
a typical world, but
Romance or erotica?
It's BDSM erotica. But I
Okay.
mean, but there's a lot of story to it as well, and that's what I kind of liked about the book is that is that it's not just sex. It's not just kink.
It's earned.
Don't get me wrong. Those books have their place. But, I mean, there's still a lot of story there. There's elements of danger. The society can be a little bit intrusive, and that kind of plays adds to the tension of the relationship. Like, so there's a lot of things that'll keep you turning the pages besides just the romance factor, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not a, I don't know. I don't mind, like, erotica and BDSM, but I really like the ones that are story-driven.
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
have
like
story
that.
to them, too, as
And,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. So it
Because
adds
The
dimension,
brain is the
I
biggest
think.
sex organ.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So once everything's, like, kind of, you get excited from, like, all the action and
Mhm.
what have you, and the
Mhm.
suspense, and then, something
So
fun goes down.
Right, and so like the BDSM kind of ties into the society a little bit, I guess. The soulmate thing kind of often takes on this role, this dom and sub role in this world, I guess. So I mean, it was really a different take. It's something I haven't read before because you don't really see that being something that's like in society in that way normally. So it was interesting for sure, and something that I made sure to include in the review itself is that I will not review a book based on the type of kink included. Because something that appeals to me may not appeal to somebody else and vice versa. So I don't review based on that. But I mean, I read erotica and romance as much as any other genre, and overall the story was it was good. It was what kept me reading, and I was always kind of curious to see what was going on. There was some trouble. There was a nemesis. So I mean, there's plenty there to keep you reading.
So you'd recommend this to a friend?
Absolutely. I gave it a good review, and you can view that on the Dark and Stormy Nights website. And you can see all of our reviews at the Dark and Stormy Nights, and then just go to the book reviews and recommendations page.
So the darkandstormynights.vegbasirmedia.com.
Yep.
So go there, check that out, and give the book a read.
Yep, absolutely.
And
Wonderful.
submit.
So, definitely. So if you've got a book, you can submit your book for review through vegbasirmedia.com.
Right. There's a book review submissions page on vegbasirmedia.com, and you can submit your book to be reviewed. If you're interested in any of the books that we've already reviewed, just view our just go to the Dark and Stormy Nights to see the review, and the author links are always on the page, so you can find a way to purchase the book yourself as well.
Awesome.
Cool.
And if you get your book reviewed by us, you also have a chance to have it spoken about on air.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So we're going to get right back into the story. Okay.
Sounds good.
And I apologize. We have a slight buzz going on. That's the quality of the mics. We're working on upgrading all the equipment. And you can help us upgrade that equipment by checking out our Patreon also through the darkandstormynights.vegbasirmedia.com.
Our love is for sale.
It is indeed. It is indeed. We will be forever thankful and may even mention your name on the air.
Oh, for sure.
So, all right. So back to the matter at hand. We just left Hammond attacking his evil doppelganger, right?
Okay.
We did.
And now we have Crow spots the copy of Wilhelm approaching. The slight but confident and well-dressed copy of Wilhelm slowly wills himself into a massive werewolf and then begins his shift into full rage mode. The beast charges Wilhelm, fully intending to shred him before he can be spotted. Crow engages the werewolf, slamming his staff across the chest of the wolf. The lantern begins to glow brightly. The blade begins to sing a thirsty hum. Crow looks to his blade. He knows he must injure the wolf before dealing a killing blow with his blade. Anything I should change about that?
No, I mean, so he runs into Wilhelm and pretty much kills him
So
instantly?
no.
Is the blade
He
on the
intercepts.
Yeah, we've already discussed
Yeah,
that
I
previously.
when
I
I
think.
mentioned what the staff was, is on one side the lantern dangles, on the other side is a scythe.
Okay, I didn't know that we settled that. I mean, we discussed a couple options. That's why I was asking.
Well,
Mhm.
nobody else used it, so
Okay.
now it is what it is.
Just ejects out of the bottom like a switchblade, or
No, it's just a scythe on one side and a lantern hangs off a crook
So
on
he's
the other
always got
side.
to be careful to not slice people?
yeah, I was gonna say when it blunt as he walks.
Does the
I say
Grim
you
Reaper have
you
this problem? Do you
twist
think he accidentally
Yeah, I like that. I like
Twist
that.
it and the blade pops out.
Or just unscrews or whatever. Yeah, just go.
Nobody has
place.
time to unscrew things. Right? You're getting in a fight, twist, boom,
No,
blade,
I don't mean
kill.
like that. I just never mind.
He's
Basically,
making
it pops out.
The
Same.
gestures we're making seem awfully
Quite vulgar.
inappropriate. Yeah.
It really doesn't help anybody listening.
so.
That's an Indian burn. That's going to hurt.
Ooh. Yeah, use plenty of lube with that one.
Wow.
So.
We went there. Okay. Sorry.
No, so Crow intercepts. So what I was trying to portray here, and now that I'm thinking about it, that you guys are having a lot of problems with the visual on this, I think,
A little.
is Wilhelm is still, and part of it might be that it was like 15, 20 minutes ago that I mentioned that Wilhelm is looking through the book for
Right.
something. Then Wilhelm's doppelganger spots him and comes to shred him, and
Right.
Crow intercepts
No, I got
Dark
that.
Wilhelm
Yeah.
as he's about to get
It
him.
was just the combat bit we were trying to...
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's been a while since I described the staff or whatever, and so it's probably not fresh
Is it
in
a
your mind.
black wood thing or
Well, like I said, it's a scythe with a crook off the back of it that holds the
like an
the
actual
lantern.
like harvesting scythe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, Zara jumps once again between Mary and Dark Robert. Mary skillfully dodges Zara once. Overuse of once again. Her attention only drawn from Robert for a moment. Mary adjusts her gaze back to her love as a pair of arms emerge from behind Robert, wrapping him in a loving embrace. For a moment, she sees red, only to recognize the source of her own evil twin. The source is her own evil twin. Mary thinks of destroying her doppelganger momentarily just before descending into confusion. This situation makes less and less sense. I'm not sure if I she hasn't seen her own doppelganger up till now.
Right.
You know?
Mhm.
And in fact, I don't think she's recognized that there were any doppelgangers
Right,
up to
right,
this
right.
moment.
She's tunnel vision.
Little
We get that.
distracted, right?
Right, yes, okay.
Now, have they not seen, or have you not yet mentioned in the writing, Desmond's crew? Are they hiding?
It's not mentioned yet, but I mean, there's so much going on here that if they're on the other side of the portal, battling fey creatures,
Right.
I mean, everybody's kind of occupied right now. It's a lot for one chapter. I'm not sure it can go into one chapter at this point.
I don't think so either. And I've got a place outlined where I think that it might kind of break.
Okay.
And then it's just that this whole fight scene is going to continue elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, all right. Wilhelm discovers a spell he needs in the book, shouting Eureka as he looks up to see Crow and his twin doing combat. He witnesses his doppelganger getting the edge on Crow. Wilhelm wishes he were able to control his shifter nature to help Crow. Crow's staff passes near Robert's ghost, illuminating it at this point. Robert's ghost
Okay.
is lit by the staff. We set precedence for this in an earlier chapter, did
Well,
we
we were
not?
talking about the portal and other energies doing that, so sure.
That his lantern makes otherworldly things light up.
Oh, that I don't recall, but I have no problem with it.
It was mentioned that it glows brighter near
Yeah, that I recall.
power. We could
But
always
he's
go
a
back to
spirit,
that.
so
We could
his
always go
lantern
back
can
to
do weird
that
things.
chapter and maybe clarify it a little.
So Mary looks back to her friends in confusion for reassurance, seeing the chaos, and eventually Robert as he is illuminated by the staff. I wanted to describe the way he's looking at her and stuff, but I didn't really go there.
No,
I felt like his scar is visible on the soul, and this is
Okay.
the moment of being able to differentiate. And that's why I thought
That's
maybe we were talking about re-interjecting this into the prologue where
sure, his scar.
he is actually cut by a mystical weapon.
We can't.
Oh no, he dies before he
He
gets
does
a chance
die,
to scar.
yeah.
Unless you're saying that scar
No, we
his
have
soul.
the flashback, and we
I
either
get it,
are going to do
okay.
it as a prologue or as a flashback within the story, and we can add it there if we want to. However, I don't necessarily think it's necessary.
You don't think he needs
I
qualified?
don't necessarily think it's necessary. Yes, that I just have all the words.
I have.
So
I'm having some of the same problems here.
anyway, my point being that it could be explained that she knows that is her Robert by the way that he looks at her.
Right.
You know,
Smirk,
and
yeah,
the
you know.
Unchained melody playing in the background or whatever it is
But
that you want to
Some sort of
to
mannerism.
do in your ghost reference. But I mean, like truly, it can be the look in his eyes, the way that he's looking at her with concern and love, as opposed
Right.
to the cold asshole in front of her.
Now, I have one completely unrelated, doesn't matter question, but it just would help my imagination. Is the lantern like glowing green, purple? I feel like it should be a mystical color.
I thought it was like a light electric blue.
Okay,
I
that's cool.
I automatically pictured blue. I don't know
So-
why. Our soul's blue.
I don't know. In Ghost, were they?
Yeah, a
I
little.
think they were kind of
Yeah.
bluish. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
See? Ghost set that precedence.
It's too late now. It
I
cannot
just,
be changed.
yeah,
Damn it.
I just wanted to know because I think that's a description you can add in, and maybe that illumination colors that ghost that color.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe the color is determined by the aura of the being, as in like, are they a bad person or a good person? But I feel unfair to
Oh.
say that, he's
Interesting.
a bad guy, so his
But still,
spirit's red or black or something,
Point source of light, you got a lantern to your left, so the left side of a body's illuminated. I think there would be a soft blue coming from the
We
lantern.
could almost go
regardless
back-
if
Yeah, that's
the
not bad,
spirit is
yeah.
purple
Chakras,
and evil.
don't they have
you know?
colors assigned to them?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, those aren't bad, yeah.
Or red or whatever.
Well, like I said, we're
Doesn't
going to build
matter.
this out, so I think those are all good notes. I agree with you that the source of light illuminating Robert in such a way so maybe he's only like 2/3 lit, or whatever.
Right. So like
from
the
an
soul
from
might have
that
its
angle.
own color, but the lantern's color would be on that shoulder. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, maybe, but the lantern's causing him to illuminate.
Right.
You know?
No, I get
Mhm.
that. But I'm saying, like, okay, never mind. But we're all on the same page, I think.
Yeah, ish. So we'll battle these details out in the write up.
Thank you for indulging my curiosity. Let's move.
So, okay, Crow falters against the werewolf, tumbling into the still human Wilhelm. Philip can allow no harm to come to Wilhelm and decides to come to the rescue. Philip catches the werewolf paw in his still human hand as it swipes at Crow. Philip's grip tightens as the rage swells in him. His human skin contorts as the bones in his body break and reform into the massive werebear form. Philip's maw in a snarl as he clamps down on the wolf. So I feel like you kind of see Philip transform into full werebear form there.
Yeah.
wait, Philip knows that's evil Wilhelm or no?
Yeah, because
Yeah, 'cause
his
Wilhelm's
his
right there.
Wilhelm is on the ground
Okay.
researching,
Okay.
and
Now, when they both go wolf, it's going to be a little more difficult.
all was well and good, and Wilhelm can't control his wolf form.
Yeah, but I feel.
So if something happens to Philip, I think the rage will
I
overtake
think it would
him.
make him
Yeah, like I was
change.
gonna say, I don't know what's written and what isn't, but I do feel that this is a hero moment for both Wilhelm
See, I think-
and for the for Dale.
I was going to kill the Dark Wolf before Philip transformed. So, Mary, now aware, gathers her senses about her and springs into action. First, she throws the potion into the void, and then she turns on evil Mary and Robert. Good Mary and Dark Mary do combat in a way that would make the old masters proud. Kick for kick, blow for blow. They are a perfect match. Now, so this is what I was saying. I was having a hard time with the descriptors.
No,
'cause
I
feel
actually
like,
don't think that was bad.
Yeah, all this so far is pretty good. I had more problem with
see,
the
my
staff,
problem is the
but
good
then
Mary, Dark Mary, or doppelganger, or what's the best way? Especially if they're dressed the same to fool the other team. I think they're almost indistinguishable.
Well, we already said that Mary
I mean,
wasn't dressed
you can
the
have
same.
them like both kick or
That's true.
punch and both land it instead of blocking it, or the other one blocks it with the same
Are you
punch.
planning on
Yeah, punch on
expanding the
punch.
fight there as
But-
opposed to just saying kick for kick, punch for
But
punch?
that's what I'm trying to say is a little bit of description is fun. Going overboard gets boring.
Right.
So you want to keep it moving forward.
It's just that there's so
I'm
much
actually okay with what you've written. I mean, a little bit here might be nice, but a little less there. You know what I mean?
I don't
wouldn't
think
go
there's
overboard.
anything wrong with the way that you did it. It's clear.
Right.
And having doppelgangers fight each other is going to be difficult. The only thing that I would maybe do is play up the fact that these are, like, what am I trying to say? They're really formidable fighters.
Yeah.
And going, like, head-to-head and something that anybody else would kind of hesitate to jump into because of how skilled they both are.
What I might do is in some parts where you do feel the need to go a little bit more with the fight. Is actually not fight related, but like, okay, you go to punch them and they're wrestling or they're grappling or whatever, and the one snarling or the differences in the character, the evil and the good versions.
Yeah, the problem
what I mean?
is that
Like-
Mary and Evil Mary, are they really that different? Like, she's kind of fucking scary.
There's a couple members of the team that straddle the line of good and dark.
Right,
you
right.
know?
That's what I'm saying, is
Uh,
that Mary...
But I'm saying there could be some
You want to root
argument.
for them because of who they are, and that we've given them to you this whole time as the good guys. But the truth of the matter is these are thieves and rogues and stuff like that.
I don't know. I
Exactly.
just some shit talk would be hilarious.
Like, if there's
Oh,
one-
Hammond on
definitely. No, I
Hammond,
agree with you. That
If
might not
there's
be bad.
one character out of the whole team that I feel is really not so different from the dark side, it's Mary.
Right.
Like,
Well, and
I mean,
think
she doesn't come off
Hammond
that
is
way.
probably kind of close too.
right. Like
Maybe
I could
so.
see Hammond like knocking over the other Hammond and saying something to the effect of like, there's only room for one genius with a large boot as he stomps his head in. Just it's a little bit of
Unfortunately,
smack
it's
talk.
never going to get there, but yeah. The polarity of the rift now visibly reverse. Many of those who have come here resist the draw of the rip, but at least the flood has been ceased. I'm not sure I described that well. But basically, the portal's polarity has reversed.
Now, what happened to the potion? He literally went in the portal?
Yeah, she chucked it into the portal, and now the polarity of the portal is reversed.
Okay,
Things
so
are being
it
drawn
exploded
back.
somewhere in face side, I guess.
Things are being drawn back in. Philip dominates the werewolf, tossing him around like a rag doll. He takes a bite from the wolf's neck as Crow spears Dark Wilhelm and with his staff, and the life drains from his eyes. Crow looks down at the wolf. His lantern begins to glow brightly as he pulls the soul from the werewolf. He puts his foot on the wolf's chest to pry his blade free, and then slings the soul into the void. As one would blood from their blade. Philip and Crow look at each other and share a nod. Hammond and his doppelganger tumble back and forth in full brawl. A crowd of brownies gather to watch the action as they might a professional fight event. If one were to look closely, one might notice a brownie taking bets.
That's funny.
Dale suddenly, and without warning, takes off around the rubble pile as if spooked by something. Karen makes chase. Hammond tumbles back to his feet, drawing his blunderbuss from his holster on his back. Evil Hammond freezes in his tracks, arms stretched out to his sides, half as though to surrender in action, half as though he's about to reach for something. Move and I'll make a new hole in you, is what Hammond says. And then Dark Robert attempts to aid Dark Mary, delivering orchestrated pop shots, but Zara is on the ready to defend her sister at arms. And I'm kind of stuck there, I think, because I was going to have... up to this point, I just realized, because there's so many characters to keep track of, I never introduced Dark Zara. So I was thinking this might be a good place to bring her in.
I agree. Maybe that could be what Dale and Karen are chasing, or moving
not
to
bad.
meet.
Okay.
Because really, right now, with Wilhelm out of the fight, you kind of
Wait, what happened to Wilhelm again?
he's looking through his magic books.
Okay.
So you have Philip and Crow, who just got cleared up. Karen and there's a lot going on.
There is. It's
and
way
you're
too
not
much.
even
I need it in front of me in
you
the
haven't
Excel
even
or on
accounted
paper.
for fake creatures yet. So
And
really,
Desmond's team, which are...
right.
I was about to introduce the action at this point. I was going to... My thought was take out another one of the doppelgangers to slightly even the odds out, you know? Because it's just too overwhelming at this point for the team. If we brought in another team of
So
people...
maybe just
Well, you still have
instead
Desmond's
of
crew to show up.
instead of saying Karen's taking off after Dale, you could say they're tag teaming doppelganger Zara. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like kind of something on the peripheral that's happening. Like, I feel like Karen and Zara are a pretty equal match, don't you think?
We've never had Karen really fight, so I don't know.
She's got enough legs.
And
where
you know
it
who
shouldn't-
else we
it
didn't
shouldn't
bring?
be
We
hard
didn't
for
bring
her.
Nibbles. So...
Nibbles wouldn't come.
I don't know that Nibbles would. He's
That's a pet.
So I don't know. I feel like he's a
warrior.
little schnauzer. Like,
Yeah.
you know, ankle biter or something like that. Although his ankle bites are poisonous.
I mean,
so
I could see her being careless if she
fair.
had many spiders, but she just has the one right now. That's probably back at home.
that's true. Yeah, you don't want to wreck your hive, I guess, you know.
Unless whoever they've been feeding her, she's been turning into
Although I do
spiders.
feel what should
Yeah.
happen is that it should build up to a climax. They overcome, and they're finally victories in sight, and they're winning. And then Desmond's crew shows up and backstabs her.
All right. Well, I got some more notes. We'll come back after the break, and we'll discuss those.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the Dark and Stormy Nights is now part of the Big Vasir Media family. Tyr, you want to tell us what Big Vasir Media is?
Sure. Vigvasir Media is basically a network of indie creators. It's a place that you can go to find podcasts and authors and, you know, YouTubers, and it's just a group of creators that kind of are working together to get their work out there.
So you should contact us, of course. Let us
Mhm.
know if you want to join our network, and we're happy to work with new people. We want to get all the indie family we can get, right?
Absolutely. You can go to vegvasirmedia.com to find out more information about ways to join the network, to network with Dark and Stormy Nights. Or if you are an author and have a book that you would like reviewed, you can go there and go to the book review submissions page and post your book for everybody to see, and anybody can read it and review it. And if the Dark and Stormy Nights select your book to review, you'll have a chance to have your book posted on their blog and then posted right on the web on the podcast as well.
And from what I understand, there's even a way for them to just support us if they wish, right? So they can go there, and if they just love the idea of an indie community. And
Absolutely. If they want to support the indie community, there are ways to go through Patreon and also get additional exposure at the same time.
sounds like a great idea to me.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, thanks.
Timer.
Well, you didn't.
Yes, I know.
Because I started it after you this time. Sorry. We timed the show, and we are really bad at it.
We do attempt some degree of organization.
Right. So at this point, I was going to have so Dark Robert's attempting to help Dark Mary. But we've got Zara and Mary against Dark Robert and Dark Mary. You're thinking that we should have Dale and Karen against Zara. That's not bad.
I still would love a
Like, you have a little side note there, so I'm just saying just throw in that fight so it seems like realistic that Zara's not hanging back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
she's in the fight, too. She's just distracted with the spider.
I just really want to see Wilhelm step up, get enraged, become a werewolf on command, and kick some ass.
So maybe
And
we have a siren or something trying to seduce Philip, and that's Wilhelm.
Any
over
number
the
of
edge.
things. But on top of that, I do want to see a naked Dale do something heroic. Just out of nowhere.
Clobber someone over
apropos
the
of
head
nothing.
with a tripod.
Just
You know
like,
what'd be funny is if you looked more like Captain Caveman, maybe.
yeah,
Like,
but I feel like,
What's Captain Caveman?
what?
oh, really? That's a Flintstones cartoon.
Oh.
Captain. Yeah, never mind. But all right, it's dated, but it was fun. But
I loved that show.
more than the Flintstones itself.
That and Grape Ape.
Oh God.
Um,
Wow. But yeah, I feel like he should be a pig. Everyone's ignoring him or trying to capture him or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he morphs into Naked Man. Everyone's like, what the hell's going on? And then he just clocks somebody. There does something timely when it's important. It's not like amazing,
Wait.
but it's just well timed.
Human Dale has one thing on Pig Dale. Hands. He can grasp things. So,
I mean, there's a lot of small fake creatures, so really, he could end up taking on
well, and
something
this is
that's
where now the flood of faith things is starting to drift
back,
towards the
right.
portal, you know.
Oh, true. They might be clawing and biting on their way back.
And we still haven't even mentioned the fact that something is going to start trying to come through.
Well,
So,
we didn't really specify. Are they drawn like a great attractor? Like, do they want to go back in the portal because of the spell
I don't know
effect?
that it's one.
Or are
I
they
think
being
it's
sucked
a
in like a black hole?
polarity. Yeah, like they're being pulled.
So yeah, that's a note right here was more and more creatures from beyond the rift are drawn back to it. The volume of otherworldly things is causing a jam up. So there's literally more things being drawn back here than can possibly fit through the hole.
I just want to know if they're walking up like Noah's Ark or if they're being sucked in like a black hole.
No, I think that it's a weird thing that doesn't affect worldly things. That is affecting otherworldly things
an
like
otherworldly
a vacuum.
wind.
I think that maybe it had to be something that's connected to the portal in order to be pulled back.
So yeah,
Because they threw the potion at the portal.
and
It
the
has to
brownies
have-
aren't being affected, which might tell you that they're from here.
Wait, what is it?
The brownies.
Or
Oh,
maybe
okay.
it's a faction that's been here for too long to be
If they were born here, they're probably safe. Like Wilhelm isn't bothered either.
right.
They don't
So,
need a green card.
He
They
was
have
born,
citizenship.
right. They were born here. So
Yeah, but then you have brownie
Fix my
children
flaw.
being separated from brownie
What?
parents.
fixed my flaw. There was a break
You
in
know.
the wires.
No.
Right. So, all right, I run into a couple problems here. One thing was the chest. I wanted to spring the chest, but I also have
He dropped it.
good Hammond, and so you're saying it just springs?
Yeah, he might have busted the lock. So,
Yeah.
if it lands hard enough.
You want who to open that? Evil Hammond or good?
I don't care who opens it. I just want it open.
He wants it open so they don't have
Why-
to fight to get
why
a key
would
and
it-
open it up and all.
Oh.
because at this point we have a major happening. This is the point in the story where I think we're going to end this chapter right about
You
here.
want Dale
this
to be
tentacle
helpful?
time?
Have Dale open the chest.
Well, I was thinking that the brownies could accidentally spring it because that's what they do. Entropy is,
Oh, that's true.
a bitch. So, or is that too much? Or do you think that, like...
I mean, it's a simple
A mechanical seal.
mechanical
Okay, so
thing.
what
they tend
if-
to deal
alright,
with more
how about-
complex
how about this?
machines.
So Good Hammond has Evil Hammond at gunpoint, right? Maybe he backs to his chest, he pops it open, Evil Hammond makes a move, Good Hammond goes to shoot him, right? The blunderbuss explodes, blowing Good Hammond out of his boots, nowhere to be found.
Right.
Okay.
Evil Hammond is left standing there laughing his ass off
Mm-hmm.
when a nugget of something falls out of the sky and cracks him in the skull, knocking him unconscious.
Nugget of what?
What was
Piece of
jammed
the-
on the barrel of the blunderbuss that we marked
all right,
earlier.
all right.
Okay.
All right. Maybe we better describe the rock. So, like, I was going to say, like, a glowing piece of moonstone or something like that. And then we can bring back the glowing moonstone that cracks him in the skull, And so it's recognizable as what it was. You know what I'm saying? And then the brownies should collect their winnings from the betting and carry off Evil Hammond through the rift.
Works for me.
Yeah, it's fine. Works.
You like that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it needs to be a stone or whatever. I mean, you can do any piece of that gun comes back down and cracks
Sure.
him in the head.
So, but what I was thinking is, okay, now we're left with Hammond's key actually in the lock, because he was about to unlock it,
Right.
and then he had to quickly draw back and shoot Evil Hammond,
With the sabotage weapon.
right, which blew him to God knows where. And that's where we were talking about ending this chapter for now.
Okay.
Where everybody thinks Hammond's dead.
Right. Yeah, even his own people. So, Dark Hammond is carried off through the portal. Good Hammond is who knows where, and the fight is left in limbo for the moment. I also wanted to put in there kind of Desmond and his team walking around the thing at this point, but I didn't know if this was a good place or we have that just start at the next chapter, where this is where I felt Desmond's team arrives.
What you do is the classic, the person fell over the cliff and died, and everyone's like, oh, and then they have some beautiful sermon for them, and then they're still hanging by there, like, could you lift me up? You do one of those,
A moment of silence.
where they're like, oh man, Hammond's gone or whatever.
I think
And
you need to have one of the team.
I'm saying in the beginning of the next chapter, right? And then Desmond's crew descends on them, and then Hammond can show up and save them.
Yeah, something like that. What do you think?
We can.
Is this too much on you?
Not necessarily.
I mean, we're going to
So
have a
this is-
whole
this
planning
is
episode.
putting the Cthulhu coming through or whatever it is you guys wanted on me, though, right?
Well, all that's going to do is
Well, that's-
hasten their need to, because the Cthulhu coming through is a great tool for, it literally just eats a couple of the doppelgangers,
Well, that's what I'm trying to
clearing
get
the
at.
field.
Well,
Okay.
it can eat some things, and then also that could be what scares Desmond's crew off.
Exactly.
yeah.
That's what I was saying.
That's
As
what
soon as
prompts
Desmond gets the upper
let's
hand,
not wait for the rest of the creatures to go through. Close it
Sealing
now.
potion.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. So as soon as Desmond has the upper hand,
There's no sealing potion, was there? I thought we were going to have Desmond's cult close it.
Oh, okay, yeah, so maybe he ended up
Yeah,
having
this
to
was a
This is
heroically-
what this is what keeps Jennifer
I changed
from
it in my
being able
chapter.
to.
What's that?
I changed the nature of the potion in my chapter, so it's just a
Yeah.
reversal.
Okay. So
Right.
Desmond's the one
So
who's going
this
to do
is
this job.
occupying Jennifer and the entire cult. They're really not in the fight because they're doing the magic to close the portal. As soon as as soon as whatever it is starts coming through, that whole half of Desmond's team is out.
Yeah.
You're left with Desmond, Caleb, and Roberta, who are actually capable of the fight, of
Okay.
fighting.
And even Desmond might not be, because he's got that staff that can do various magical things. He might be like sending fireballs or something at the
That's what I'm thinking.
at
is
the,
he's
tentacle
using-
creature.
He's trying to kill something or
Right.
a fake creature that's attacking him or
Well,
whatever.
they're trying to close the
That might be a
portal.
good way to
He might be
introduce him, is
firing on
suddenly
it.
you see fireballs like flying at the portal itself or
Right.
something like that.
Right. So it's really just Roberta and Caleb might go, screw this shit.
So, but I wanted the chest to be opening up before the end of the chapter, because the chest itself, from the inside out, is transforming into a large mech
What?
made of wood and brass.
Okay.
You're gonna make me do Iron Man.
Yeah, it's Hammond is Iron Man.
Oh my God. Sure, it's steampunk. There are no rules.
It's gonna end up looking like a diving suit if you leave it up to me.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Yeah,
what it should
do
look
it.
like.
Yeah, that's
what a
exactly
mech
what
suit
I'm
in that time period should look like.
leather and wood and brass and
I
glass.
was thinking
Except
like
it's more
the,
like
the
a pickle
cogs,
barrel.
the cogs and everything.
Well, I imagine
Yeah.
a bunch of those what do you call them? Vacuum tubes on the back, like all green vacuum tubes and shit like that, powering it. And then I don't know what.
Because, yeah, it's not steampunk if there's not a mystical
Sure,
green
yeah.
fluid.
And then I don't know what it shoots, but it shoots something, maybe lightning bolts.
Electricity,
Yeah, something. I don't know. Who knows?
but it's Hammond, so it should be like a static shock.
Or like the
Or
gu-
it fries somebody.
Yeah,
Whoops, too
or
much juice.
the
Taser
gun,
hands.
or the gun doesn't work. And he's
Right.
like, fuck, and he's just punching everything.
Right. That's
So-
funny. Okay.
Or it allows him to finally lift.
Or a hammer fist.
No. Did we ever disclose what's in the trunk? Because there was
That's
supposed
the
to be.
mech.
I thought that we was supposed to hold a weapon as well.
No, the mech is the weapon.
Oh. See, I thought it'd been kind of cool if there was only some so big that he couldn't lift without
No,
the
the
mech.
the trunk itself is the mech.
All right.
When you unlock it, it unfolds. There's no trunk left behind.
I get you.
It absorbs the trunk into the mech. That's how brilliant he is. So, all right. So yeah, the chest was something I wanted to fit in there before. I don't know. Should we have it unfold into the mech before it's done, or should we just have Hammond when he shows back up, finish the job and open it up?
No, you don't show any of that. That's off screen.
Just have him show back up.
Because
in the
Hammond's
suit.
thought to be dead, and then he just comes clunking in. You just see his face through the diving helmet.
You know what you gotta do is you gotta give away the pieces of chest as body armor on the mech, or something,
What do you mean?
because
Oh, it looks like a chest. You know, the brass banding and
Oh,
the
the
wood
chest
planks.
itself turns into a suit?
yeah,
Yeah. That's what he was saying.
E-
But but it's not shown. Everyone thought he's dead. He comes back wearing it. That's how he gets the
we
upper
need
hand.
to describe the chest better in your section then. Make it to have some sort of designer platter.
I was gonna make a steamer
Louis
trunk,
Vuitton,
but okay, not bad.
little
Yeah,
marks
yeah.
on
yeah.
it.
I'm picturing a pirate chest, but
Well, I've got one outside that I should show you. That is probably what it looks like. I've got an
Okay.
actual like
she
pirate
wants some sort of
chest.
like logo kind of thing, some kind of iconic
Well, mine
symbol.
has some
No, I
kind of
just
logo
need
inside of
to-
it. But Louis Vuitton was like the chest manufacturer.
That's what I'm saying. Is like you can tell.
Like
Louis
that would be
Vuitton 'cause it
fucking
has the-
hilarious. A Louis Vuitton mech trunk. Like, what? That'd be amazing. I kind of want one now.
Oh Lord.
Okay. Really from here.
I would give it like a train whistle. You know, like
so
a
basically,
steam driven.
you're ending that chapter where Hammond dies,
where everybody thinks Hammond dies. Yeah.
and then the next chapter has to pick up where everybody thinks somebody recognizes that Hammond is dead,
Desmond's crew shows up.
and then they start seeing like fireballs or something like that from Desmond.
Yeah. So we.
And that draws their attention to what he's shooting at, which is something is starting to come
Oh, we're going to
through.
have that. I thought that was going
Right?
to show up after Desmond's like, we win. And then that would come out. I thought, like give the Desmond an upper hand.
I'm not
before-
opposed to either.
But your
Look,
chapter,
the
your,
things
your
that have
choice.
What
to
is
happen.
Desmond shooting at? If
The things that have to happen.
Nothing. I thought he would just show up. Like I win. I've got the upper hand. You're all screwed.
Well, I mean, him and his team made their way to the portal. I assumed they were on the other side of this rubble pile the whole time.
Doing what?
Trying to
Battling
close the
creatures?
portal.
Okay.
But
They could have just got there too.
that's possible as well.
No, they had already spoken to Robert. Remember?
Oh,
Well, yeah.
wait. What?
But here's the thing: is that at the same time that Poppy's potion is pulling things back, Desmond was also trying to work a spell to a return to sender spell.
Right.
So he's working that with his staff, while Poppy's potion is pulling things back as well. So they're attracting fey creatures.
Well, as soon as he
I kind of
stops-
figured they were on the other side of the portal, which we said was emitting a glow, right? So they can't necessarily see through it to the other side.
Right, but once the potion goes in the portal, he no longer has to finish the spell. He might notice that the effect somehow has already started. He might have thought that he did it.
He probably thought that he did it. He's an arrogant
Yeah,
idiot.
no,
At
I
which
agree.
point he might come back around like, okay, what's going on over here?
So from there, once things start coming back, they're fighting fake creatures and throwing them through the portal. And
doing the
then
work for him.
Jennifer and the cult are going to start their sealing it off as soon as whatever this is starts to come through.
Maybe that's what it is. It's more like at this point, because the polarity of the portal has already been reversed, right? So at this point, they're probably fighting fey creatures that are being drawn back to the portal and kind of forcing them through or something.
You could just stand out of the way, though.
Well, like I said, it's a log jam at this point. There's more fey creatures trying to get through the rift.
They might
than
be
can
fighting
fit.
themselves, you know?
What's
creature
that?
on creature. If
Oh,
there's a
yeah,
log
that's true.
jam.
There might be it's probably fucking chaos.
Well, we already said on the walk there that they were starting to fight the creatures that
Yeah.
were coming out of the walk.
Yeah, they had to fight their way through. Yeah.
Right.
And we haven't even gotten to the really nightmarish shit yet.
But that was
you
before
know?
the portals reversed everything when they were just
Right.
occupying in the labyrinth of the sewers.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would have Dale do something epic, you know? And then, yeah, you got...
Yeah, I want to see Philip lose. I want to see him in peril, and then Wilhelm rise to the occasion. I would love to see that.
Who would be good to take down?
Well, maybe he runs out of bear juice. I don't know.
I mean,
It's gotta be
anything bigger,
exhausting.
anything. The Minotaur could show up again and try to take on a bear.
Anybody?
I mean, a
Yes.
troll. Anything bigger than a bear would be
Yeah.
a fight that's
Did we have a were-rhino somewhere?
potentially.
Well,
capable
actually,
of taking down a bear.
I forgot what I was watching, but there was a show that said that was trying to pit the
Oh.
bear and the tiger as the two most ferocious animals on the planet or something.
Oh, I think a tiger could kill a bear.
And there was, I forgot what the factors were, but in certain scenarios the bear would win, and in certain other scenarios the tiger would win. So it's like,
I'm trying to remember. There's a YouTube channel that actually ranks creatures based as if they're video game stats.
yeah.
You're like, who would win?
So
Who's got the most advantage?
A were-tiger might be a problem.
Oh God, what are they called? Rikishis or something?
Oh yeah, Rikishi, yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, the only thing is Rikishi are stupid because
Are
their
they?
hands are backwards.
We don't have to follow all of mythology.
So.
We've changed things as it is.
That's true. So it could just be a tiger demon.
Even if it's something smaller, it could be something that swarms him.
That's true.
Okay, I'm not against that.
Like
50 possums? I don't know.
Or something that has the ability to enchant or something like that, you know?
Like enthrall him in some fashion?
Yeah, so that he's not fighting back and it can just kill him then. Not that I'm going to kill him, but you know what I'm saying.
Right,
You
right,
Put him
yeah.
in enough danger to make
Well,
Wilhelm lose
yeah.
Well,
his
there is a
shit.
mimic ooze I've introduced.
well, yeah, and we still have other doppelgangers.
And I'm
deal-
still
well,
not doing... Well, here's the thing.
By the end of mine, we're
How
two
did we-
doppelgangers down, right?
How did we say that... who's bringing Robert back? Because I can't necessarily change Wilhelm into a wolf if that's not done.
Oh, I thought that was going to be done offsite. Like after they win, they drag him back to the.
Well, no,
top
the
house.
Right
First-
now, his body is soulless. Yes?
No, Robert is still alive.
You haven't even done that yet?
Well,
Is that
so
something
should we
I
go
have to
back?
do?
Let's go. Hold on. Let's go back. We can get rid of him here if you want to, but how?
No,
I
not
thought his soul would
necessarily. Let's figure out
somehow
how it
be
makes the most
separated from him
sense.
and then sucked through the portal.
I thought it was something you had done, but if it's not, then let's figure out where it makes sense to do it.
I'm not against it here, but how? You know,
Well, I thought we talked about having Crow pull his soul,
right? So
which was kind of
right, but we don't want to
pre-mentioned.
destroy the body either.
correct.
So, but we know his staff can be. Oh, that's what. So first off, that's what Wilhelm was researching. What dawned on Wilhelm was the idea that he can, if we can get the soul out of the body, we can put Robert in it.
Right, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Is Wilhelm is a key piece of bringing Robert back. So having him change into a wolf is not necessarily what we want to do.
Right. So yeah, we need smart Wilhelm, not vicious Wilhelm.
But
Right.
he could, like, in that moment, like, turn to the wolf until the thing settled, and then, like, everyone, like, calm him down.
The problem is, yeah, he can't control it. That's the problem, is getting him to change back in time to fix Robert.
So what we
Is
need
that
to
realistic?
do, the vital piece.
Well, don't you think that, like, Philip could talk him down, like the Hulk? You know, the sun is setting, all that?
He's his Black Widow.
I just can't quit you.
Oh Lord. I don't know.
Okay, no.
It doesn't have to. I would like to see it, but it doesn't have to be in this
Well,
scene.
I think
guess.
what we need is to defeat Robert without destroying the body, and then Crow can pull the body.
Yeah, I
or
think only
pull
Crow
the-
can do
Pull
this.
the soul from the body.
Maybe he uses a lantern to somehow suck the soul. I don't know.
So, but that's what I'm saying is I think that he needs to be
Oh, no.
quote unquote defeated.
I think we mentioned this before.
Who needs to be defeated?
Robert, without killing him.
Crow
Yeah.
is his soul is animating the suit because of his lantern.
Right.
So what
Correct.
if I picture it like oh, it was a candle lantern, wasn't it? I mean, if it was a gas lantern, you could turn the knob, like make the flame go dimmer.
No, supernatural energy makes it go bright.
Just follow me on this. If it was a gas lantern, and like not a real gas lantern, but an enchanted gas lantern, right? There's no actual gas, but you know how it has that little dimmer knob to release less gas, and the flame goes down. If he less possessed the suit, so that he could get one free spirit arm to just grab the soul and rip it out of him. Soul on soul combat.
So, okay, so
Spirit.
Crow,
As I
Spirit
pantomime
punch.
on air.
Crow would obviously be the expert on separating a soul from a body, considering he is a suit with no body,
Sure.
and his soul is trapped in the lantern. Okay, so he has to know something about this. God knows that if you were in that predicament, you'd do a shit ton of research.
Okay, so
right? Because you want to put your soul back in a body that's not vulnerable in a lantern.
And who built the suit?
well, it's an old artifact, is what I describe it as. But okay, we just had Crow and Philip give each other that knowing nod a little bit ago, just as they defeated Dark Wilhelm, right?
Uh-huh.
What if we have Philip throw him at Robert? Because he's in werebear form. I mean, a bear can lift 1,500
Throw
pounds.
Crow
Robert?
at Robert?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then he can, from there, land on Dark Robert or something like that, right? And like you're saying, kind of use his staff to pull the soul out of him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Good Wilhelm and Robert's spirit are getting to,
I mean,
to
is a
the body.
lantern just like kind of sticky, drawing the
Yeah,
soul
I'm
out?
thinking like he's holding the staff or whatever like that, and he up against the body, and he's trying to pull it out physically.
Sort of like a memory and
Maybe words?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Harry
so we
Potter,
know
what
that
was
the
that,
staff has
pond?
some ability.
Okay, so maybe
Fountain
he's
thing?
like some old Sumerian.
the staff has
text.
some ability to draw a spirit out, because we just did it with Wilhelm, with evil Wilhelm, right? So maybe he can do it without the actual physical injury if there's some sort of instruction to the staff to do so.
Wait, when do we pull a soul out of Evil Wilhelm?
Didn't you say he did that?
Yeah, but he delivered a killing blow to do it.
That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah,
in
we don't
order
want to kill.
in order for
Right.
him to do it without stabbing, then maybe the staff just needs some instruction to do so.
So more like child's play. You want to do the voodoo curse thing.
A few words. So is Robert's death going to be in your chapter, or is that on me?
I think we can finish up just before Hammond gets blown out of his boots, or whatever.
So you're going to
with-
kill him?
Yeah, but you'll have to bring him back. So Philip would throw Crow at Robert. Crow lands on Robert, driving him to the ground, sliding down the pile. I think that then, while uttering some, I don't want to say some words, but some what do we want to call that? Like some kind of
Incantation?
Chant. Yeah, incantation. In an ancient language. The staff, what do you say? Like pulls at the soul.
Yeah. Which is good that you made the lantern be able to illuminate his soul, because now you have a visual to go with
Right.
it.
I was gonna say visibly, like tearing it from the body or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And don't forget, he has another world voice. Because if he's going to talk, you know.
So we'll say like Crow struggles for some time, and then
Oh, his whole outfit being leather, he probably weighs maybe 25 pounds. It'd be kind of easy to push Crow off, really. I mean, other than staff and lantern.
There'd be no reason that he couldn't wade the suit, or
I mean, he
something.
could. I don't know.
Hell, he could line the gloves and boots with metal to make
Yeah,
a
like
hit.
some sort of lead
okay,
shot so he can actually
I
punch
have
people.
a concept, but I didn't think it was important to the story to say it. But I felt like the suit is actually full of the ashes of the burn from the plague.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy shit.
He's heavy.
That's dark.
So
No, but I mean just raw, inert carbon. I mean that would be very, very heavy. Actually, it's like a human-sized bag of sand.
Yeah. That's a lot going on. I feel like we're gonna maybe need more plotting for this next chapter and the one after.
Well, we will come back next week then with a plotting episode.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be because there's so much going on right now.
All right, I think this is good for now, though. So we'll come back next week and we'll plot before we start the next round of writing.
Yeah, let's do that because we still don't even know where the next chapter is going to end as far as where the portal's at. Have the villains run away already? You know, Hammond's in the air, Robert's in the air. There's a lot like that has to happen still.
Right.
And we're not even done with the doppelgangers. So
Yeah, this is a lot.
it's a lot.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, go see us at the Dark Stormy K1 on Twitter, the Dark and Stormy Nights.vigvisirmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, if you have a book you want reviewed, go to vigvisirmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
Book
anything
review
else?
submissions page.
Anything else? Oh, go buy Tier's book at Nova Drake Writer, right?
Well, it's on Amazon, The Cost of Justice. But yeah, the links are on my website. It's novadrake.vigvisirmedia.com.
You won't regret it. See you next week.